I feel a little bit embarrassed and I think I owe you an update. Do you remember when I said this on the channel? How do you fancy 5 months from when this video comes out, you, me, Echo Yankee Zulu, want to go once around the world? Then this happened.
In just 3 hours, Melbourne will be back under curfew as the Delta outbreak refuses to relent.
Yeah, well, since then I've been pretty quiet on the whole round the world thing because, to be honest with you, I felt a bit silly. It's locked. But because quite a few of you have been asking me about what's happening with the round the world, am I doing the round the world, are you still flying round the world, don't you feel really stupid talking about round the world when you haven't actually flown around? I thought at very least I owe you an update.
Just whilst I'm waiting for the engine to warm up here, I'll tell you why I've been feeling a bit embarrassed. I don't like making announcements on this channel too much, and then you have to wait for 3 months for it to happen, and sometimes, like the round the world trip, it doesn't actually happen at all. When I announced that, I was ready. I was ready to go, and I was so excited to share it with you, and then a year went past and another year went past. Recently as well, we had the youngest male, Travis Ludlow, to fly around the world, and the youngest female, Zara Rutherford. Both completed their round the world flights, one last year and one early this year, and I watched them and I was so proud of what they did, and it was a brilliant achievement, and I celebrated with them. But then shortly after, I'll be honest with you, there's this slight sense of envy that starts to kick in as well, because I want to do that. Because it's early morning, the tower's not actually open right now, so Moorabbin is operating as a CTAF, a Common Traffic Advisory Frequency. It just basically means that the tower doesn't give us clearance to do things like taxi and takeoff. All the pilots talk to each other, and we organise it between ourselves. When I say all the pilots talk to each other, there's no one else here. Airspeed's alive on both. Engine's looking all good. Up we go. Wow, that is so smooth this morning. Picture perfect morning for it. Moorabbin traffic, Echo Yankee Zulu, departed type 46. We're levelling off 1,500, tracking coastal southbound. Moorabbin traffic. Now, I don't want to sound all entitled and privileged in this video, a guy who owns his own plane misses out on flying around the world. People have lost jobs, people have lost lives, loved ones, but everyone's kind of had their thing. And for me, the round the world trip, it really was my thing, to put my family through everything as well. It took years to plan the round the world trip, and then to not do it and to sit at home basically for the last 2 years. Almost this kind of state of darkness about not being able to achieve the thing I wanted to achieve. It was hard on them as well. So I promised myself to do a couple of things. The first thing was to re-plan the round the world trip. So it is going to happen, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But the other thing I promised myself to do was just to get out and enjoy flying in the meantime. I know I love having these big projects and I love having big plans, but there's nothing wrong with going out and just enjoying flying and just appreciate that I have access to this amazing aircraft and this brilliant, brilliant world of general aviation, instead of focusing on that one big goal, which I know will happen. I have no idea how any of those shots turned out actually with the sun. Maybe they didn't work very well. I might actually turn the plane round. Okay then, the big question, am I going to fly around the world, and will the radio ever stop interrupting me?
Quarter 7380, Melbourne departures, descend by start 8000.
Now I know I started this video by saying no big announcements, but again, I also started it by saying I owe you an update, and I want to be honest with you on the channel. 2022 for flying around the world, from my point of view, I think is going to be out. I think I'm going to do this round the world trip once, and I don't want to do it where I have to stop in places, get PCR tested, wear masks everywhere, maybe quarantine in certain places. All that stuff I think is just going to really take away from the fun of the trip for me, so I want to give it another year. It means I've got another year to get the aircraft ready. As you know, this PFD is a temporary one at the moment, which we're just borrowing. There's also the fuel tank that we're fitting, there's other upgrades that we're making to equipment that I'm taking. There's a lot of planning still that I can do to make the trip even better. So whilst I don't have a definitive date in mind, I definitely know that I'm not going to do it this year, and instead this year I'm going to spend this year planning and practicing, flying like this for fun, doing trial runs as well. Once I've got the aircraft spec'd for around the world, I can do longer legs. So I want to do some international flying. Maybe one day New Zealand will let us back in, for example, and I can do some fun flights like that, which I've spoken about here on the channel. I really see 2022 as the time that we get back out and go traveling again. And that for me is a great excuse to actually do some practice runs for around the world flying. So when it does happen, the aircraft's even more ready than it would have been. I'm even more ready, and I can produce something here on YouTube for you, which I hope you're going to really enjoy.
7380, decent, nice start at 6.
Port Phillip Heads, directly ahead, that's the end of the bay in Melbourne. And this is Portsea down here. If ever you come to Melbourne and you all of a sudden become a multi-millionaire, this is where you buy a house. Oh, I've got to get the car back as well. I keep forgetting I've got to get the car back to my wife for 9 o'clock today, so let's better turn around, otherwise I'm going to end up flying down to Adelaide. Look at that. The Cirrus is such a balanced aircraft. Just in a steep turn, going round and round. I haven't even got my foot on the rudder. Oh, that's because Cirrus pilots don't know how to use the rudder, right? But not too bad, nice and stable. What is this? Why have I started self-rating on my landings? Once again, solid 10 out of 10.
I hope that explains a little bit more about why I've been feeling embarrassed about this and why I've been so quiet on the whole round the world thing. So if you do see me out there on the street, and if you want to ask about the round the world trip, do it. Keep me honest. Ask me how the planning's going. Am I still doing it? What's the go date? And it is going to happen. We're going to do it. We're going to fly around the world. It's going to be bloody awesome. I can't wait to share it with you.